On today's fantasy podcast, you're actually in the kitchen cooking with Tori. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to break down all the games for you that you need to know for your fantasy team this week. And we're going to start with a QB. You have to be starting, if he is in your league, must start QB this week, Tom Brady. Gotta be. Playing Atlanta's defense. Atlanta couldn't stop Jalen Hurts last week. What are we going to do? He's going to tear them apart. He is going to have a phenomenal week. Vice versa, stay away from any Eagles players this week. For your running backs this week, it's going to be a little bit tricky, but I think we have the ability to have a couple of really good running backs this week. So I will give you one to stay away from who probably went number 2, maybe number 3 in your league. You might want to stay away from this week. And that being the one, the only Dalvin Cook, as I cook. Get it? So Dalvin goes up against an Arizona defense that shut down King Henry, shut down the Tennessee Titans, and everything else that they had going on. What's to think that Minnesota, who just lost to a Cincinnati team, is going to be any different? It's not. I will tell you, if you have other options, bench Dalvin Cook this week. Who you need to be starting, though, he didn't have in the super impressive week 1, but I think he could have a super impressive week 2. And that's Darrell Henderson from the Los Angeles Rams. He was one of my sleepers going into the season. I personally drafted him. I am looking forward to him actually having a really good season. And he plays the Indianapolis Colts this weekend. The Colts did not impress me at all so far this season. They looked flat. They looked like everything that Carson Wentz can't be. And they looked a part of a team that's disheveled right now. That defense, as much as I thought they were going to be really, really good, did not look good this past weekend. I expect Darrell Henderson, Matt Stafford, and that offense to go nuts against them again this week. Now, when we come to wide receivers, wide receiver must start, even though they looked really good in week 1. I don't think they're going to look really good in week 2 because, well, they played the Jacksonville Jaguars in week 1. So in week 2, start Jarvis Landry against that Houston secondary. Again, the defense looked really good for Houston last week. However, you're playing Jacksonville. Another one that you might want to consider, and he's kind of my sleeper, is Brandon Ayuk against that Philadelphia secondary. Philadelphia, I think, was an aberration in week 1, and they were also playing Atlanta. Who do you want to sit in week 2? It's a great question. However, I would sit any Baltimore receiver against Kansas City. Lamar Jackson didn't look that great last night. Numbers-wise, he was okay. He didn't throw any interceptions. However, he only had, 185 yards. I would stay away from any Baltimore receiver at this point. Now we got defenses. What defenses? You know what? People don't put a ton of emphasis on their defense. I do. That defense can be the difference between you winning and losing that game. I always try to get myself a high-profile defense. This week, and as much as they threw the ball last night, and Carr threw for 435 yards, look at the Pittsburgh defense. We starting them against the Raiders. Carr did throw for 435 yards, put it up, 58 times? He also did throw an interception. He's interception prone. If they have to put it up that much, if they can't get Josh Jacobs going and Kenyon Drake going, it's going to be another game where they are just tossing the pigskin around all game long. As for who to start next week, the San Francisco 49ers defense. 100%. You're playing Philadelphia. Philadelphia is not going to be who we think they are, at least in my personal opinion. They could completely prove me wrong, but we will see. So if that's the case, start the San Francisco 49ers because they are not going to be as good as we thought they were. That's all we got for Cooking with Tori. Cookie, you have some great fantasy advice. Have a great evening, guys.